The Kansas City Chiefs have more 12-win seasons over the past 9 years than 18 NFL teams have in their existence. 7 12-win seasons in the last 9 years, including a now straight 9 straight AFC West championships. Chiefs move to 12-1 on the season after the 1917 victory over the LA Chargers and the refs last night. Let's talk about it.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
I'm BJ Kissel. Thanks for checking out this episode of 10 Things. And as always, thank you to Session Tacos formerly known as Mission Taco Joint for supporting this program and the KCSN Foundation with our Feed It Forward program and some other stuff that we got going on. Check out any of the Mission Taco Joint or Session Tacos locations in Kansas City. Mention KCSN on Tuesdays for a whopping 10% off. We appreciate their support, and I appreciate Mr. Tucker Franklin, our special co-host for this episode, the man who makes KCSN run smoothly every day of the week, including Sundays. We appreciate you, Tucker. How goes it today?
It's going good. Things are well. Chiefs win another close one, another barn burner. Wouldn't want to have it any other way, I don't think. But things are well as we are nearing the home stretch of the season and getting closer to the holiday season, where we'll have a bunch of different changes. Just speaking of things at KC Sports Network, we're going to have a bunch of different changes, of course, the schedule as they start to hit this weird stretch here. But we'll make sure to keep you guys updated, as always, that we do here at KC Sports Network.
Yeah, this could be a fun one. I lost my voice a little bit. I was at the game last night, screaming, acting like I was in my 20s again. Like I get up and just start screaming like that, feeling like I was making a difference with all the 0 false start penalties, I believe, that the Chargers had in that game last night. But a lot to talk about with that game. We appreciate everybody for watching this live with us. If you're on YouTube, watching it after the fact on YouTube, or listening to the podcast audio, we are recording before Andy Reid's Monday press conference. So in case anything comes out from that, you don't hear about it, that's why. But Tucker, man, a lot to get through with that game. I haven't had a chance to go back and rewatch it. So a lot of whatever is discussed on the broadcast, those kinds of things. That's why I like doing these shows with you when I'm not watching it, because most of the people listening were probably watching this show. We're probably watching on TV. And there's some context given that you don't always get at the game and vice versa. But I want to shout out, before we get too much into this, I want to shout out our good friends from Holiday Distillery and Batchelder Family Farms, Brad and his crew, for throwing our tailgate last night. The folks from OHM are actually over there too with Holiday. Had a great time. They throw a great tailgate. It was a good time. It was kind of spitting, kind of misting a little bit, Tuck, when we were out there, but we were out there for a solid few hours. Getting right for the game and tailgating, and special thanks to them. We're throwing another tailgate before the Texans game on the 21st. So if you're watching or listening to this, you want to come hang out with us, we've got drinks for you, we've got food for you. You can come hang out, talk a little Chiefs football, and have a good time. But we want to shout out and special appreciation to them. And Tuck, the other thing I wanted to mention was kind of different. At the game last night, they did like the light show with the app. Like if you had the Chiefs app and you're at the game, like you could hold it up. It was freaking cool. Like I think they tried it a few years ago and it did okay. But I could turn the lights on and off and real quick. Like it's a cool deal. What they did being in the stadium, we got a chance to get a pretty good view of it. And I don't know if it showed up on the broadcast. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, they didn't show a ton of like the pregame stuff, or I wasn't watching, I should say, a ton of the pregame like entrance stuff. But I did see your video that you posted of the entrance of Chris Jones, and you can kind of see it there. I do always think those light shows are kind of cool, and the technology has advanced over the years of being able to put something on a seat, right, that you can hold up that then they can do just so they have the right colors too. I know at Taylor Swift's concert, they use like Bluetooth now. They can like Bluetooth to where you are in the arena to help like make pictures with the lights and the bracelets that they give you. It's incredible. The technology has wildly advanced in terms of just like lighting in stadiums. I think the Clippers' new stadium arena has lights on the seat. So like the seat can light up and it can do a light show like that. So even doing it with your phone is kind of a crazy thing too. You just go on the app and you hold your phone and then they'll control it for you. It's crazy.
But during the intros, to have the smoke come up and have the field kind of be lit by the lights that were like kind of flickering or whatever you want to call streaming. And then for the fireworks to go off, like it was just a cool, I've seen lot of games that Arrow would say, like, it just looked cool, and Chris was running out on the field just from a coloring standpoint and shading. It just looked really, really cool. It's funny when you mentioned, like, when you signed up the app and they told you, make sure that your microphone is available. Megan was my wife and I went to the game, and she was so confused. And she, diehard Taylor Swift fan. I'm about to have a Taylor Swift moment here because it was her last concert, and about middle of the fourth quarter, when Taylor Swift's concert in Vancouver started, my wife put her headphones in and she was listening to the concert at the game while she was watching and cheering. But she was pretty convinced that there was a better than not chance that they were going to like co-stream to the concert in Vancouver. And that's why they were asking everybody's like phones to be connected. I was like, that would be a technology marvel if they were able to do something like that. But she was able to watch the concert, watch it all the way home, watch it once we got home, and did all that. But yeah, pretty special. She did say Karma's the guy on the Chiefs, for anybody out there that was really curious, that was hoping they got that information on this program. You're welcome. At the end of the concert, she did say that. But before we get into the 10 things, we are going to mention the raffle again, because this is for the people that are watching live, because by the time the audio gets out, we might be past that deadline. But the Soul of KC holiday raffle and toy drive, which we've done, we've been promoting it for the last few weeks. It's the 4th annual. It ends today at noon. So if you are interested in any of the 20 prizes that we have listed on this graphic right here, that you can see everything from a Patrick Mahomes signed mini helmet to a Chris Jones jersey to a Shamari Connor jersey, Leo Chanel jersey. We've got tickets to the Chiefs-Texans game on the 21st, plus 20 other prizes listed right there. You can get raffle tickets either through the KC Sports Network Venmo or through our Give Butter page at givebutter.com/KCSN Soul. You can find the link in the description on YouTube and click on there to buy your raffle tickets. Tax donation will give you a receipt, since we are a verified 501c3. All the money that's raised go towards buying presents with our friends over at Dick's Sporting Goods. They're gracious enough to host us and to contribute to this campaign that we do every year. We've raised more than $50,000 over the last 3 years doing this. We're a little over $15,000 raised right now. So we're closing in on that goal with about an hour left. But if you want to help some kids in your community have a great Christmas via Operation Breakthrough's Christmas store, which is the beneficiary of this, get some raffle tickets, have a chance to win some cool stuff. I'll ship all that stuff out. Hopefully by the end of the week. We're picking all the winners tomorrow during the Only Weird Game show. So if you know anything about us, you followed this before, you know these campaigns and these things are really important to us. So we appreciate your support there. All right, Tuck, let's get into the 10 things. And the first one, it's pretty simple. We know where we're starting. We always start big picture, and that is the club streak of division titles is the longest in AFC West history, picking up their 9th straight AFC West title with that win last night. And he's the second longest streak in NFL history, dating back to 1970. Trailing only the New England Patriots stretch of 11 straight division championships between 2009 and 2019. So, Tuck, when you're looking at the top streaks ever, besides the Patriots and Chiefs now, the other 3 were the LA Rams, Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Minnesota Vikings. All of those were in the mid-70s. So this is something that doesn't happen, this kind of stretch of domination with free agency and just the way that the kind of NFL is right now. You don't see it a whole lot. Saw it with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. But Chiefs are right there. Dynasty. You can't call it anything else at this point. It's special. This run is special.
Absolutely. And I think what is Matt Verderame and I talked about this a little bit too. When it comes to the Patriots run at 11 straight titles and the Chiefs run, the division that the Patriots in, I feel like was significantly worse than the Chiefs division is currently. So I think when you look at how this is in the last couple of years, it hasn't been that great, right? The AFC West hasn't been. This year was probably the most competition they had for the AFC West in a few years. I think the Chargers and Broncos put up a really nice job, but as we're saying this, it's the beginning of December, and they've already clinched the division. So, like, they've clinched with like a month left, and we're still saying, it's pretty tough this year. It's a pretty tough year. We have a month left. But you look at all this, the NFL has tried the best that they can to create parity in their league. They've done a phenomenal job. They're the best league at creating parity, and you can see this when you look at these record books and these history markers like this. But there's been 2 teams that have just kind of bucked the parity, and it's been the Patriots and it's been the Chiefs. And look, only 2 more years to tie that. I think they got a good shot to do it. I mean, it looks like that they can do it. The Raiders aren't really going to be a threat. It's always the Chargers, right? The Chargers is always the one that people want to crown early. But look, the Broncos and Bo Nix are being pretty feisty right now, so we'll see how they go up. But 2 more years to tie that mark by the Patriots to kind of put yourself up in that regard too as a dynasty, as well as I think the Chiefs are already a dynasty, but to put yourself in the same regard as that, the height of that Patriots dynasty would be something to see.
Yeah, and I see a couple of comments already in the comment section laughing about how national media is just calling the Chiefs lucky. I saw, Joe Goodberry has been doing content on the Bengals for a long time. Tweeted out last night that, nobody outside of Kansas City is enjoying this. And I just put out the Mike Tomlin gif of we do not care. We do not care at all how anybody else feels about it. And to be honest, I'm at the point now, Tuck, and it took a while to get here because I was probably the last one. I was like, hey, let's not become Patriots fans. Let's not. I've been saying that for half a decade. Let's not become Patriots fans and how they were. And now I kind of understand Patriots fans a little bit because it doesn't matter how much you try and tell people hey, we had 8 straight playoff losses, second longest streak in NFL history for playoff losses in brutal fashion with some of the worst referee calls in the history of playoff football going against the Chiefs. And I talk about it and I've mentioned it several times, but I'm at the point now where I'm annoyed at Chiefs fans that are bitching about this. I just don't get the ugliness, and it's well, this isn't enjoyable. I'm then go watch the 2009 Chiefs. If you don't think this is enjoyable, go back and watch them play those games, because the whole point is to win the game. And I saw some comments. I thought it was kind of funny, saying, I wonder what the national media discourse is going to be about how well Josh Allen played in a loss compared to Patrick Mahomes in a victory. And you see it before. And Josh Allen absolutely should win the MVP. I have no problem with that because it's going to be a stat thing. I was on record saying I thought Buffalo was going to take a step back. They lost some dudes. They got older, and they're still right there. They're still one of the best teams in the AFC, but the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC. They have proved that. I know that they lost to Buffalo, but they've proven throughout this entire season, when it matters, you win football games, and that's all that matters, is winning the damn game. It doesn't matter what it looks like. And to me, at this point, the definition of a hater or just the pessimistic fan are the people that are well, this isn't going to get it done in the playoff. They're going to lose in the playoff. They're just waiting for it to happen. And they've been saying it every freaking week of this isn't going to get done, but it keeps getting it done. Yeah. And so that's all that matters. Stop waiting for it to happen, because as soon as they lose one game, it's going to be, see, I told you they were terrible at 12-1. What are we doing here talking about this stuff? So I get people fan different ways. They want to pick apart and kind of talk about it. There's a nuance to how you discuss it, and still respecting and understanding where we're at right now as a team from a big picture standpoint. And so I see Kyle, is it true that you're a hater if you're worried about the playoffs? Of course not. There's flaws with this team, but the people thinking this isn't going to get it done, they're not good enough, they have no shot. There's a nuance to it, and there's a line as to what you see. And there's always the loudest people on social media. You just kind of have to ignore and not take too seriously, or when they're emotional right after a game. But this is the good time, man. The hoodie says, and we started a whole merch line about these are the good old days, and you just got to get it done when it matters. There's no boogeyman out there. There's no team that you got to worry about. Since Buffalo and Pittsburgh's the other one, and we're going to face them. You know what? They're also worried about us. So yeah, Kyle, you're good, man. You're not a hater for worrying about whether this team can get it done consistently and keep living like this. Yeah. But for the people that just keeps complaining about it, and as soon as they lost, they're going to throw their hands up. See, I told you so. That's drives me crazy, because you could do that forever. And then once they finally lose, I told you I was right.
I know that there's not a whole lot of space for this on the internet, but when it comes to just thinking about the Chiefs, 2 things can be true at the same time, right? They can still have the ability to, it's just an uncanny ability to pull out wins in football games, which we see this. BJ, I don't know if you saw this. I tweeted out Sunday morning, how are the Chiefs going to win this game by a score? And it's just how you just know that's what it's going to do. That's just what you know is going to happen, because Patrick Mahomes is a serial winner. And that's just how this is what happens. And they can still have fatal flaws, and they can still be serial winners at the same time. Like that's just what it is.
Yeah. And that's becoming a thing where the other players, like it's like the Michael Jordan effect for like anybody who's old enough to remember that. Like you were a Kobe for people a little bit older. Like you just knew at the end of the game, like they've done it so many times that you just start to get worried, and then you start to press.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's going to cycle and get into it. And I can't wait to talk about the next thing as we get to number 2 here, 20 minutes into the show. But talking about the refs. But again, haters are furious, and I'm just soaking it in at this point. We talked about it before, but just soaking it in. But let's talk about the refs, because after that game last night, I don't know if they talked about it on the broadcast, but there were 4 or 5 just almost egregious. And anybody who's followed me for the last 20 years, I've been doing Chiefs content. I don't know if I've ever complained about the refs. I'll never say it lost the game. Regardless, even the Jeff Triplett, the forward progress call and DJ against the Titans. I won't say it lost the game because there's 100 other plays in that game that could have changed things. D Ford's offsides. They allowed 3 3rd and 10 conversions on that drive. So I'm not going to blame D Ford for it. It's never one thing. But this discourse about like the refs and the Chiefs, like it was so bad. The DeAndre Hopkins uncatchable ball holding that they missed. Yeah. Isaiah Pacheco getting face masked. Mahomes getting hit out of bounds when they showed the replay. That absolutely could have been called. It wasn't going to be a reason they lost, even if they didn't win that game. But that game should absolutely shut up the discourse of Chiefs get lucky with wins. Patrick Mahomes completing that 3rd and 10 pass to Xavier Worthy had nothing to do with luck. And we just gloss it over like that. We just kind of accept that that's what he does now.
Yeah, that play was insane. With Patrick Mahomes and his ability, and even later on in that drive, that play was insane. The broadcast did mention something that I thought was interesting, is both of these teams knew that this crew that was assigned to this game doesn't call defensive holding. Like that's one of the penalties that like they don't call very many. And as a team that's aware of that, right, you're going to do a little bit more thing. You're going to try to get away with a little bit more. And I do think it's interesting that, like, these teams have stats on all these officials, on like what they call and everything like that. And it does seem like there were some times where you mentioned the DeAndre Hopkins one, BJ. That was one that could have been defensive holding, or it could have been pass interference, or it could have been illegal contact. It could have been so many other things. But truthfully, I'm kind of in the boat when it comes to the officials of letting the guys play, right? Like you got to call like face mask, right? You got to call like the personal fouls, the late hits out of bounds. But if you're letting the guys play both ways, I'm not going to get too up in arms about it. The fact that it wasn't like too wildly one-sided in terms of the bad calls, they were just bad all around. I think is kind of what I'm like, whatever with. But like, look, officiating in the NFL this year has not been good. It's been bad all around, not just for the Chiefs. I know a lot of people like to just like single out the Chiefs because they're on prime time every week. They're the sexy team, right? Like they want to single them out that they're getting all these calls. But look, the Chiefs get the opportunities and they take advantage of them. That's why they think that they're getting all the calls, right? They take advantage of these. Other teams get calls too, and they don't take advantage of them. That's a big thing too. But it's happening everywhere. It's not just the Chiefs. I know that it's a frustrating point for a lot of people on social media, but it's not just the Chiefs. The officiating is bad everywhere. If you watch a game on Sunday, you just watch a Browns-Steelers game, right? You're going to see bad calls.
And that's the annoying part, is that you have a multi-billion-dollar entity like the NFL, and they can't have full-time referees.
Yeah, that's bad.
These guys have other jobs. Like, there's no reason why you can't have a core. And I understand you need a lot of them. Like, there's a lot of games throughout the NFL. You need backups. You need all of that. They have enough money to get this right. Yeah. How much better would it be if they were full-time studying this stuff? You're still in the moment having to, make calls on the fly. I understand it's not easy. During the game, I'm yelling and screaming on the side about the Justin Reed penalty, in the back of my mind knowing like that's a penalty. But it was 2 minutes after it felt like the DeAndre Hopkins. Like, it was right. It was not long after that. It was like, how can you call that and then not see DeAndre Hopkins getting mugged all the way down the field? Same thing with the Trey Smith, like headbutt. Like, yeah, that's a penalty, but so is the face mask on that same penalty. So I tweeted out. I think it was the only tweet I had. You mentioned about social media earlier about being just kind of a cesspool. It's why I don't tweet very much anymore. If I want to have like if I want to have a conversation, I get in the group DMs or follow your guys's or the group like Twitter account. Like, I'll have like an actual conversation as opposed to just a bunch of gotcha statements and trying to dunk on people, which is what social media, or at least Twitter, X, has become. Made the mistake of going off the following tab, and it was like the For You. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, this shit's weird. How is this
You'll
stuff?
see all kinds of stuff over there. You'll see things that you're not supposed to see, like in terms of all kinds of stuff. I'll leave it
Yeah.
there. I won't go. We
Yeah.
won't go very far.
There's memes and stuff that my kids and the scrolling through is like, they don't need to be around to see some
Yeah.
of those things. But anyway, all right, let's move on to the next one after talking about the refs. Let's talk about Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
He set some more records or moved up. Tuck. He moved up the passing charts. Mahomes completed 24 of 37 for 210 yards and a touchdown in Sunday's game. His 210 passing yards gives him 31,613 for his career, moving him past Dan Marino for the fourth most passing yards in a player's first 8 years in the NFL. He now needs just 88 passing yards to move past Derek Carr for the third most in a player's first 8 seasons in the league. And in addition to that, with Sunday's win, Mahomes owns 101 career victories with the regular season and the postseason as a starting quarterback, passing Tom Brady for the most wins as a starting quarterback in their first 8 seasons in NFL history.
Wow.
It's better than Tom Brady.
Look, I always do enjoy, we always have this portion of the show, right, where we get to appreciate Patrick Mahomes. We have now hit the appreciate Patrick Mahomes section of this podcast. Just to put into context, kind of just like historical starts still, it's kind of funny that we're still talking about starts to a career, right? Because he's been around for a while. He's won 3 Super Bowls. And
they always have to count his rookie year because he started one freaking game. Like all of these, you got to be like, well, he's also 15 games short of everybody else in the regular season his rookie year. But
right, 101 victories is insane. He just passed like his, I guess that's career including postseason, but he just passed his 100th regular season game as well. He's got a pretty darn good record in those games too. Just to see him with the names like Dan Marino and Peyton Manning nearing up on for most passing yards in the first 8 years. Wow, Derek Carr's up there. How about that? And 100
people forget.
Games. Yeah,
Derek Carr had some games until he faced Bob Sutton. Sutton
Carr,
had Derek Carr's number.
Yeah, he did. He really did. But the list is always fun to see Patrick Mahomes with those names of those legends.
A couple nerdy stats, and then I'll talk a little more about Mahomes. But next gen stats with Patrick Mahomes last night in under 2.5 seconds. So when he's getting the ball out of his hands quickly, 17 of 19 for 124 yards and a touchdown, and his average time to throw in that game was 2.62 seconds, which was his fastest time since week 2. So they're getting the ball out of his hands. Makes sense. Offensive line had struggled. They were in a 2-deep shell for most of the game from what I saw. And I'm at the game at a different angle watching live, but they pretty much sat back in a 2 high. They brought the safety down and kind of tried to mix things up and disguise them. But for the most part, sitting back, getting the ball out quickly seemed to be their focus. Again, makes sense because DJ Humphries out there. We'll talk about him in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But offensively, not pretty until the end of the game. But it wasn't from Patrick Mahomes not getting the ball out. What did you see, Tuck, and watching on the broadcast and thinking about Patrick Mahomes and just that whole dealio?
Well, truthfully, I thought Patrick Mahomes did play well. I do think that he was able to get the ball out quick. And I think that helped, obviously, with some of the offensive line stuff. I know we're going to talk about DJ Humphries. I want to save some of that for a little bit later. I do think that getting the ball out quick helped with, trying to acclimate an offensive lineman in there. Offensively, the play calling was a little bit of a frustration to me when it comes down to it. It's like in the third quarter, I tweeted this out. This is like the 5th third quarter that they didn't score in at all this season.
Yeah.
Which is
we'll move right into that one. That's the next segment. We'll talk about play calling because
because that's really what's in my crawl. What's grinding my gears, BJ, about this game is the play calling. That third quarter was one of the more frustrating moments I think this season that I've had watching this team because they seem to have running the football going. I know Isaiah Pacheco's coming off of a broken leg, right? A broken ankle, broken leg. And I know they kind of want to ease him back in there. Kareem Hunt has been just grounded to an absolute dust. They've used him as many times as they can. So I know that they're kind of thin in that running back room. man, they were running the football. And you know what makes it really easy for a new offensive lineman is hit that guy right in front of you, block that guy right in front of you. You can do that a whole lot easier than having to deal with those stunts that Jesse Minder's thrown out there for DJ Humphries. So, and that's also another thing too that goes into the pass protection is if you're running the football, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack can't pin their ears back, right, and rush the passer. They have to play the run, and they just negated. It's not the first time this has happened, right? It's not the first time that Andy Reid just forgot that he could run the football. There was one, I think it was like 8 carries. Is what they had up until halftime. It's like, you got to run the ball a little bit more than that. Be a little bit more 50-50, at least especially when you're dealing with the situations that they're dealing with. We haven't talked about this. McCole Hardman heading to IR. You're down another wide receiver who is one of those guys who gets a lot of snaps for you. You're down another wide receiver. You just got to kind of move the football. And they were doing that, running the football. I just don't understand why they didn't keep it going. That's the one thing that I get so confused. I get so confused every time that this happens, right? It feels like there's a game every year that Andy Reid forgets to run the football in the third quarter, and then they still win. But it's just one of those things like, what's going on?
Let's preface this by saying we understand that Andy Reid is one of the best coaches in NFL history, and he knows a lot more than we do. Correct. But that did not stop me from screaming out, what the are we doing after you talk about Kareem Hunt didn't get the ball a whole lot in the first half. And you think maybe they talked about it at halftime. We talked about halftime adjustments being the worst cliche that makes absolutely no sense for how it actually works. But you think somebody would have told him the stats like, hey, Kareem hadn't run the ball a whole lot. You think, hey, we talk about it at halftime. Let's come out and execute. Chargers get the ball down 13-0. They drive down and score. Yeah. Chiefs get the ball back and go 3 and out. They have a 3rd and 1 right after the Chargers score, and they did a stupid, and they probably scored a touchdown on the Super Bowl, and you can clip this and be like, BJ's an idiot. That's a long list of things you can call me an idiot for. But that like pass back play to Hopkins on a 3rd and 1, like just run the football. The Chargers just drove all the way down on you and scored. You can get a yard. You can trust Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith enough to give you a yard in that situation. And if you don't, that's a much bigger problem. And we know they can because they've been more successful with that. But that play call of like scrambling out and then doing the pass did not work at all. And that was about as mad as I've been on a play call, while also understanding and respecting the fact that I do not know anything about football and all of that. But damn it, just run the ball, get the first down, and be done with it. That being said, we did talk about the 3rd and 10 play from Mahomes, but we did not talk about Samaje Perine's block because I saw it singled out on social media. I hadn't seen it till I saw it on social last night. Chiefs fan, and hold on, let me look it up real quick because I got to give credit to where it came from. They tweeted out art. That's what he said afterwards. But Carter Donick put this out, and I saw Lewis Riddick broke it down this morning, but the first person I saw was Carter Donick last night, who said the Samaje Perine blitz pickup on Derwin James, one of the best running back blocks I have ever seen, and they didn't even mention on the broadcast once, even with the replays, and that he's a gap right up the middle, and Samaje Perine lays him out, and that is a collision, which is what caused Mahomes to step up and move around. So shout out to Samaje Perine for just putting his body on the line in that moment. You wonder why he's on the field, why he's a 3rd down. That's why he's on the field in that situation. Just show him that clip. But that was big time. But play calling, that 3rd quarter you mentioned, that one play for me was just the one that I was furious about. It made no sense. Just run the freaking football. Chargers get the back and then drive down and scored another touchdown. That's when they took the lead. So it was sandwiched between their 2 touchdowns, which made it a little bit worse. But makes things a little bit better, Tuck.
What is that?
Travis Kelce. He always makes things a little bit better. He caught 5 passes for 45 yards in Sunday's game, and his 45 receiving yards give him 12,010 career receiving yards. Having played in 172 games, Travis Kelce becomes the fastest tight end in NFL history to reach the 12,000-yard plateau. He beat Pro Football Hall of Fame Tony Gonzalez's previous mark of 210 games. With 5 receptions tonight, Kelce has totaled 80 receptions on the season. He now has recorded 9 consecutive seasons with 80 or more receptions, giving him the NFL record for the most consecutive seasons with 80 or more receptions and moves him into a tie for the third most 80 reception seasons in NFL history. Again, I just went through a lot of info and I want to make sure that we get context because these are the ones that are kind of baffling when you really think about it.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce, fastest tight end ever to 12,000 career receiving yards. Now, I understand the game's different. They throw the ball more. Tony Gonzalez, before Travis Kelce, best tight end in the history of the game.
Yeah.
Jason Witten, Antonio Gates, you can have arguments. He got to 12,000 yards 38 games faster than Tony Gonzalez. Like 3 seasons, 2 seasons, 2.5, 3 with a couple injuries. 38 games faster to 12,000 yards. That to me is the context of that stat. It's read out a whole paragraph. That's bonkers to me. And again, when it mattered the most on one of the biggest plays in the game, who do they go to? Travis Kelce, who just basically does like an Indian squat in the middle of the field and just decides not to move. Kneel a couple of times so Matthew Wright can doink it off the crossbar.
And he's supposed to run a corner route. I don't know if you heard that from Andy. He was supposed to run a corner route, and he did not run.
He had the leverage, so he just stopped.
Yes. And he
Safety was back.
Yeah, he's just like, that's not going to work. I'll just stop right here. He stood there. Like, I was rewatching that play a little bit before we started, and he just, like, you can see him, like, look around. He's like, well, there's no one around me, so I'm just going to stop right here. And look, it works. That's just what he's made a living doing, truthfully, and him and Pat know each other like that. But, yeah, seeing Travis Kelce up there better than Tony Gonzalez, like, he needs one more touchdown to have the, I think, franchise leader in receiving touchdowns. He still needs a couple more for total touchdowns because of Priest Holmes.
Because Priest Holmes ran behind the greatest line in NFL history.
I didn't realize how many touchdowns he had until, like, I was looking at it. I was like, golly, Priest Holmes had a lot of touchdowns.
He wasn't getting touched until, like, maybe a safety. Like, I want to see Jamal Charles run behind that line that Priest Holmes ran behind.
That'd be awesome. But, like,
conversation for June. It's
a June conversation. Looking at the most consecutive seasons with 80+ receptions, like, he's number 1 now, right? With more than Torrey Holt, Marvin Harrison, Jerry Rice. We're talking about wide receivers in context with Travis Kelce here. Brandon Marshall, Tim Brown. Like, I mean, that's what's most impressive for me is just like his consistency. That shows you consecutive season with 80 receptions. He's been consistent for 9 years. 9 years the Chiefs have been like, we can trust you to throw you the ball at least 80 times. And you're going to come down with it. And that's one of the most impressive ones that I think I've seen with Travis Kelce.
The impressive thing, he was named the Chiefs nominee for the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award with the work that he does with the Ignition Lab and Operation Breakthrough. I'm assuming they showed the video on the broadcast. Generally do that. They showed it in the stadium, but that stuff and what Kelce has done at Operation Breakthrough with the Ignition Lab is such a difference-making thing for those kids. We try to do our tiny little part with Christmas and do a tiny little thing with Operation Breakthrough, and Travis is making like worlds of differences. And so for him to be the player that he is and to do those things, just special. But what else special is we've got half this show left to go, and we're going to go to break now. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little DJ Humphries and his performance, and talk a little Creed Humphrey keeping the streak going. We'll talk about it right after this.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
At GEHA, we stand behind our members because we were founded by members. So we build health plans with extra benefits like vision and dental coverage, plus hearing and fitness discounts. Visit GEHA.com. Enroll by December 9th at midnight Eastern Time.
All right, welcome back to 10 Things. We appreciate you letting us pay some bills right there. But if you're in your feels and you're feeling pretty good about the Chiefs winning their 9th straight AFC West title, go to shopkcsn.com and you can grab yourself a These Are the Good Old Days hoodie. It reminds you that these are the good old days for Kansas City sports fans and Kansas City Chiefs fans, but also in general, Tuck.
Yeah.
You know, there's that old adage that 10 years from now, you'll give anything to be right where you are today. You're always going to miss and feel like you should have done more. So it's a good reminder. That's why I love wearing the hoodie. It reminds me to be where your feet are, enjoy the moment, and know that these are the days that you're going to be talking about. We're all going to be talking about the fact that we got to watch Patrick Mahomes play football. And I don't think no matter how many times we say it, I don't think we'll properly understand how special all of this is until we're all much later. And then we have to go watch football with guys that aren't Patrick Mahomes. It's kind of already ruined football. I joked about that like 5 years ago. These kind of ruined football because now whenever I watch it, I'm like, why can't you step up, run to your left, jump, throw accurately to your rookie wide receiver who still almost dropped the football, which would have been, I could not imagine what the response would be if Xavier Worthy dropped that pass.
Yeah, that would have
he bobbled it.
He did. He double caught it, but look, at least he did catch it. And Chiefs fans have a little bit of PTSD when it comes to drops. And I know in haste, I tweeted out that DeAndre Hopkins dropped his ball. I know that it was more of a pass breakup and he got hit, but like again,
sandwiched between two guys with a high pass. But yeah, you expect him to make that catch because it's
DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah. But in haste, I was tweeting out that back-to-back weeks with DeAndre Hopkins drops makes me cry. And people were quick to say, well, that's not really a drop. But yes, I know it wasn't really a drop, but yes, I do like that these are the good old days. It just goes beyond sports. It's not just sports with these are the good old days. It can mean a lot more than just the sports teams that you are watching when it comes down to it. But yeah, absolutely. Look, Mizzou won a basketball game. I don't know if you know that. The Mizzou won a pretty big basketball game. These are the good old days for them too.
I saw that. I saw a lot of Mizzou fans. So I saw like 6 Mizzou fans tweeting. I don't follow a lot of Mizzou fans. I'm sorry. That was an unnecessary dig. I have no problem. I don't follow a ton of Mizzou fans. I don't know where they are on social, but I do not follow them. I've got you, Jarrett, C-Dot, Maggie.
Yep.
Gabe.
Yeah.
He's not really a fan. I would say a fan. He covers Mizzou. So he wasn't tweeting the same way that I'm sure other Mizzou fans were.
True.
And I didn't see any KU fans saying anything about it either. It was pretty
quiet. It's football season. Wait. They're not playing in a bowl game. Sorry.
Jalen Daniels re-signed.
Yeah, he re-signed.
That whole on-3 announcement just weird.
That's what college football is now.
Happy for KU. Like, it's great for local football and a fan of football. I don't hate anybody at this point. Like, whatever. But that whole announcement of like almost re-signing like a business. I understand it is business now. It just just gives me the EBGBs. Yeah. Thinking about all right, let's talk a little Creed Humphrey.
Let's do it.
He keeps the streak going. I don't know. These are the fun nuggets. And we appreciate Chiefs communication staff for putting these game notes together and doing the research for things like this. With his start Sunday against the Chargers, Creed Humphrey marked his 64th consecutive start since beginning his career in 2021. Wow. Humphrey's consistency has tied him with cornerback Brandon Carr for the second longest streak of consecutive starts to begin a career in Chiefs history. A start at Cleveland next Sunday would move him into sole possession of second place behind only Gary Barbo's club record of 101 consecutive starts. 64 straight starts for a center. One of the most impressive consecutive start streak records that you could hear about in a Chiefs uniform besides the one that I'm going to share right after Tucker gives his feelings on Big Creed.
He's been Mr. Reliable for the Chiefs. Ever since he came into the league, I remember it was all we kind of talked about is he going to start right away? What are they going to do at center? Yeah, he started right away. And I remember actually we were looking at like the Chiefs pictures that they put out for the OTAs that they do before training camp, the mini camp, the mandatory mini camp. Like, that's a left hand on the football. It looks like Creed's with the ones out there. Breaking it down, trying to figure all that out with Creed Humphrey. But since then, man, he has been reliable. He's been consistent. He's been consistently the best center in the National Football League, too. So I think that's also been a really big thing to have a center be that consistent with Patrick Mahomes. That quarterback-center relationship is obviously huge. Patrick, when I believe had like 2 or 3 centers in his first, he had 2 centers at least in his first 3 years with Austin Ryder and who was the other center?
Not Mitch.
He didn't have Mitch his first year?
It's a good question.
I'll have to go back and look. But I feel like he's had a couple of centers, but then since then it's just been Creed. What I noticed, which is really interesting.
Yeah, no, he did 100%. Yeah, because I was talking with somebody that said Mitch Morris has had more expensive hands on his butt than any other center in the history of football. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Trevor Lawrence. Name a center who's had more money.
I forgot he's in Jacksonville.
Yeah. I love that guy.
Yeah.
Friend of the program.
Friend of the. I got to go back and
He
find
showed
that
up on a
That's
show.
still- That's still one of the craziest shows that we've ever done. What I noticed when I look at this list, BJ, is a lot of defensive backs at the top of this list. And I think that's interesting.
Yeah, they don't get hurt. And I saw one Jedi said, I thought the former Pro Football Hall of Famer Will Shields had the consecutive record. It's to start a career. And technically, Will Shields did not start his first game. He came in when Dave Zott got injured in like the second quarter and then started 231 straight games.
That's insane.
I know this is a Creed Humphrey nugget, but I'm going to make it a Will Shields nugget because we really don't. It is up there with like Cal Ripken's consecutive streak of like 30 years of never missing a game because they turned the lights off after he broke his hand when he punched Kevin Costner for sleeping with his wife, at least allegedly. That's the big conspiracy theory.
Allegedly.
But 231 straight games for an offensive lineman in the NFL. He started every game of his career, came in the first one. So that's why it's considered Creed Humphrey have the consecutive record for starts to begin a career because he didn't start that first game. But again, 231 consecutive starts at offensive line. Nobody fell back into him that he rolled an ankle and couldn't play. Like all the freak things that happen up front. Unbelievable toughness, character, taking care of your body, doing things the right way. Still doing it, giving back to the community. Will Shields.
He was on the process.
Mount Rushmore.
2 weeks ago. He's on the process. With Thanksgiving week, if you haven't listened to that, go listen to the process with Sean Barber. He was on there. Also on the College Football Playoff Selection Committee.
Also at the East West Shrine Bowl every year, and we get to see him down there. And it always takes me a minute to recognize him because he weighs like 175 pounds
Lost
right
a lot
now.
of weight since
looking awesome. But he goes down, he mentors the guys at the East West Shrine Bowl. We see him at the Combine every year. He goes and he mentors the players and just serves as a resource to those guys. And we know with everything with the 60 inside running that he's got with his foundation, the will to succeed, stuff. Ruth Baum Biggest helps him out, and she's a friend. He just, again, is exactly what you would want stewards in your community to be. And the fact that, again, he holds what I consider to be one of the most impressive, if not most impressive, NFL career stat in the history of the game. Absolutely crazy. Let's stay along the offensive line, Tucker. And we teased this earlier, but DJ Humphries, curious your thoughts, because I'm going to be completely honest. I knew it was a storyline coming in, but we were at the game. We were having a good time before the game. So I wasn't really thinking about who's starting. Didn't really notice until like the middle of the first quarter that he's out there and that he was starting. Cause I had said all week when people had asked, I had gone on a couple different radio shows throughout the week with our friends over at Cumulus. And they asked me if, I thought he was going to start. And I said, no, I wouldn't start him unless he's absolutely, and granted, I'm not there knowing, but do not rush him early. Cause the worst thing that could happen is he gets hurt and can't play. When you need him. But what did you see from DJ Humphries in this game? Yeah,
so there's obviously going to be growing pains with a guy who hasn't played football in a while and a guy who is coming off of an ACL injury. Now, I think Matty Lane did a good job on the KC Laboratory properly talking about this. ACL injuries aren't necessarily as big of a deal for offensive linemen as they are for players that need to move laterally or change directions quickly, like a wide receiver or a running back, right? Because you can at least negate some of those things with your ACL. You can come back a little bit quicker, maybe, is what Matty Lane explained. I thought that was a good thing to talk about there. Now, he did tear it. I think it was like week 17 of last year, so it's been a little bit. He was able to come back and able to play. And I think some of the communication struggles that you saw was something of a guy who has been with the team for 2 weeks, like a guy who hasn't played a full speed game with his left guard. I think is some things that you saw kind of early on. Look, Jesse Minter also is the guy who kind of first started this whole inside out stunt deal where they do these delayed stunts where they're going to know that Patrick is going to leak out. So they're going to stunt late so where they can get him out. Jesse Minter started that in week 4, I believe it was, against the Chargers that first week. And they did it again. And look, they had some communication issues in terms of passing off those stunts of when they should pass them off, where they should pass them off. Overall, though, look, DJ Humphries just has to be an average tackle. That's it. That's all he has to be. And he, I don't know how he graded out. I'm sure you have the PFF grades in front of you. I don't know how he graded out or anything like that, but I thought that there were some times where he got, but look, you're going to get got. That's a good defensive line they were going up against. That's a team that gets a lot of pressure. It's a team that gets a lot of sacks already. So I thought there were some times he got, but nothing that I was truly discouraged about. I was having a conversation on Twitter actually with the Bird Law expert about, because he was asking about, was there any update from Andy Reid after the game about DJ Humphries? And I was telling him no, there wasn't. But he did come back in the game and play in that last drive. At least in that last drive, he was back into the game. So then I think that there's the loophole where he doesn't technically have to give an injury update on him. I don't know how that all works out. But overall, I thought there were some growing pains there. Obviously, that they were going to be there for a guy who's only been with the team for 2 weeks. But I don't think anything that they can't overcome.
Yeah, and for the record, I don't know for certain, but the only thing I think they have to report injury-wise is like on Wednesdays for the game reports that are coming out, because it's more for Vegas and betting for people to have that information with all the money on the line. But yeah, according to Pro Football Focus, the grades just came out right before we started recording. DJ Humphries didn't grade super well, or didn't grade well at all, but out of the 19 offensive players, he graded 16th. His lowest graded offensive lineman. But when you go into kind of the pass blocking, kind of the further numbers, 5 pressures on Patrick Mahomes from the offensive line, at least what they tagged in this game. 2 of them were from DJ Humphries. When you compare that to what we saw from Wanya Morris in the last game, where I think he had 7 pressures allowed. And I looked up the stat that DJ Humphries had never allowed more than 5 pressures in a game in his career. So even if he didn't grade out well and he made some mistakes, he only allowed 2 pressures, and there wasn't that like 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 5 play where the left tackle gets beat so quickly that Mahomes is sacked and we're all like, what the hell? Just slow him down a little bit. And Mahomes will get out of it. But yeah, didn't grade super well there, but only 2 pressures allowed again, according to PFF. But according to some of those other numbers, offensively, the highest graded Chiefs players, according to PFF, Noah Gray, Creed Humphrey, Wanya Morris with his 9 snaps, did pretty well. Travis Kelce, and then Patrick Mahomes. Bottom 5, Trey Smith was 15th, right above DJ Humphries. And then Justin Watson, Carson Steele, and then Baylor Cupp. Didn't grade out super well, dropping the one pass thrown in his direction in a big moment. That's going to haunt him. I feel bad for players that don't get a lot of opportunities. When they do, they don't take advantage of them. Obviously, they're professional. That's what they're supposed to do. But man, like, get a chance to catch ball from Patrick Mahomes, and with injuries, get your opportunity, and don't take advantage of it when your name's called. That's tough to watch.
The ball might have snuck up on him. I don't think Patrick took much off of that one. I think he rifled that one in there. I don't know. I think that ball might have came a little bit hotter than he thought it was coming in.
Fair. I had an awful, quite literally an awful angle of that pass. I just remember saying, everybody around me like, who the hell is that guy? Like, the other 47. It's the new guy. It was Baylor Cupp. All right, let's take a move here to number 8, and let's talk a little Turk Wharton. On a Chargers 2nd and 12 on the Chargers' first drive of the game, Turk Wharton dropped Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert for a 4-yard sack. And then in the fourth quarter, Wharton hunted down Herbert. His offensive lineman fell down, and then Herbert ran right into him. Let's be honest here. But sacking him for a loss of 7 yards, forcing a 3rd and 16. It was a big moment. With the sack, it marked his first career multi-sack game, and Wharton now owns a single-season career high of 4.5 sacks. On the season, it's 4.5 sacks, and more than double his previous single-season career high of 2. Wharton concluded his monster night with 3 solo tackles, including 2 for loss, 3 quarterback hits, and 2 sacks. I'm going to come across like a hater here, because the what I remember about Turk Wharton, besides the second sack where the lineman, I don't know if he knocked him over, to be fair, I guess, the lineman tripped or fell down, and Justin Herbert ran right into him. It's like giving credit for a guy for going unblocked and be like, what a great play. Like, he wasn't blocked. He ran right up the middle and tackled the guy.
Yeah.
Results great. Wouldn't call it a great play overall. That's me being a hater, I guess. But Gus Edwards' rush, a couple of different rushes inside the red zone where he just gashed us for like 10 yards right up the middle. Turk Wharton missed a couple of those tackles. And after the play, he turns around to all of his teammates. He's patting his chest like, hey, my bad, because he missed the tackle pretty poorly on a couple of different scenarios. So Turk, great for the 2 sacks. One of those, like, you want to praise him for the 2 sacks because he was in the right place. He made the play, and they ended up being key plays that resulted in a good thing. But if you had to ask him, and I haven't seen any media or anything with him after the game, if you had to ask him, he's probably going to remember the plays that he missed because those ended up leading to the 2 touchdowns early in the second half. Where the Chiefs are getting gashed with some of those runs up the middle. I saw somebody talk about some of the heavy packages that the Chargers did up the middle, and what are the Chiefs going to do differently? Turk Wharton needs to make the tackle, and we can go back and you could watch. If you rewatch the game, you'll see it was a bad miss. I don't know if they showed it on the broadcast or if it was highlighted, but not great. But you need guys to step up and make plays, and somebody up front needed to get to the quarterback, and so glad somebody did, and ended up being Turk Wharton, which you need.
Yeah, you need somebody to step up in that complimentary pass rush to Chris Jones, right? So Chris Jones is going to get a lot of attention, and when he gets a lot of attention, you're going to need somebody else to get to the quarterback. They haven't had that recently. Charles Minihue coming back, I do think, has helped there to at least have the other linemen have to pay attention to somebody else too at the same time.
Some length.
Yeah, for sure. And that gives, again, another opportunity for Turk Wharton to get a matchup that he likes and to win there. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the big, long guy, especially when you're facing quarterbacks in a scramble outside the pocket or try to move, not really Justin Herbert's game, I guess, but that length will definitely help. All right, moving on to number 9, defense pitches a first half shutout. Chiefs defense stayed busy in the first half of Sunday Night Football, holding the Chargers scoreless. Marked the club's first half shutout since holding the Dolphins scoreless in Germany on November 5th, 2023. I think everyone remembers that game when Trent McDuffie just stole the ball out from Tyreek Hill and then ran the other way. But yeah, first half shutout. I think I saw a nugget from Next Gen Stats that it was only the 3rd time in Justin Herbert's career that he'd been shut out in the first half. So not nothing, Tuck.
No, it's not. The defense did play well in the first half. And then they just came out and they ran the football, which they should have done in the first half. And
few chunk plays. Some of those digs, they didn't do a great job of covering it, but they're in man coverage. Sometimes guys get beat. Shamari Connor got beat a couple of times on those. And Justin Herbert, you know what? For all like the dunking and all that kind of stuff, especially with what we've done to the Chargers, a lot easier with Brennan Staley because he'd make bad decisions that we all knew were bad decisions, and he knew it was coming. Jim Harbaugh's not going to do that in the same kind of way. Even going to the end of the game, the way they used the timeouts before the 2-minute warning at the end of that game was brilliant in setting it up there. If they would have gotten that 3rd down stop, they put the Chiefs in a tough spot. Throw the ball, run it, get it down to 1:20 where they have no time left, but only need a field goal. It was just smart, situational type football. But Justin Herbert, that's a tough SOB. Like, I have nothing but like respect in watching him limping into halftime and things that he had going on. Like, that dude has my respect. I already knew he was a good player, but he's a tough SOB with some of the shots that he was taking in that game, what he was dealing with.
There's a couple times on the broadcast that I don't know if this guy's going to come back in the game. And then like the one hit that he took from Bolton, you were like, oh, wait, is he going to come back in the game? Is he okay? He's holding his leg, and then he was like first holding
I thought it was his shot. I thought he got the wind knocked out. We were kind of talking about that over on the side. Like, did he get the wind knocked out of him as like a rib thing? You're a Chargers player. You do not want to have to get a shot in the rib. Like, you do not want to deal with that. 8 people got that reference.
Taylor Heineke is going to get a start if that happens. But no, I think it was weird because he was like holding his chest, then he was like went to holding his knee, and then there's something wrong with his knee, but then he came.
His whole body hurt.
Yeah, it did.
His whole body.
And I don't really even think that Nick Bolton hit him as hard as he could have. Like, I think Nick Bolton kind of let up a little bit on there just because of he was throwing the football and he didn't want to get a penalty called. But yeah, Justin Herbert is a tough guy, but the defense, they got to fix the coverage issues. I mean, that's what we've been talking all year. They got somebody in house today, reportedly, to
even Nelson.
Somewhat fix the coverage issues. We'll see how that goes. But
I saw some comments earlier about bringing Nelson back after some comments that he made about the team, and I don't remember that. As Steven Nelson, I had a chance to be around him quite a bit. Like, he had an edge to him, and where like felt slighted, he was going to let you know. And that's how a cornerback is. I think what is that meme of like, here's what running backs say is like,
it's how like different
carry a knife, and then cornerbacks like, I'll just slit your throat or something. Like they're just there's a different kind of breed, and Steven Nelson was that way. But if he can come in and help, I don't care what he tweeted about it at this point with what Kareem did and kind of being untruthful to the organization, and they brought him back for an opportunity.
True.
Sending a couple tweets and I saw a comment about it being about Bob Sutton He wouldn't be the only one back then that tweeted about Bob Sutton or had comments to say about Bob Sutton, but he can help. I don't know how Josh Williams, maybe during Coach Reed's presser that's going to begin here in about 20 minutes and give an update because it seemed like he left with an injury. How serious was that? If that's more serious than we thought, then you definitely need to bring in somebody in. And Stephen Elsey might not be what he was, but he's had some good years in the NFL, and I promise you he's going to come up and hit, and he's going to play with an edge and play with an attitude that could fit well on that defense.
Yeah, I mean, look, you see bodies out there at this point.
Yeah, it's like DJ Humphrey, like be a slightly below average left tackle. And it's not what my goal is, but like if you could just do that, we'll be fine.
Correct.
And Nelson is just make a few plays, break up a few third down passes between now and the Super Bowl, and it'll be successful. All right, let's move on to the final one. And this is my favorite because it's been 2 weeks in a row now. We saw Matt Ariza just absolutely lay people out last week. Not great form, I get it, but shows a willingness to come in and tackle. And then maybe one of the best punts I've ever seen live. I don't know to talk about in the broadcast. 59 yards, bouncing at the one, like just an absolute bomb of a punt. But this whole section is going to be about the special teams.
Oh, yeah.
This is Chiefs communication. They start using descriptive language like this, they're excited. After plenty of precision punts, flawless kick coverage, and a perfect field goal percentage, the Chiefs special teams unit played a significant role in capturing the franchise's 9th straight division championship after the Chiefs' primetime 1917 victory over the Chargers. Matt Ariza booted 4 punts for 207 yards, 51.8 gross, 51.8 net, and landed 2 inside the 20. His biggest punt of the night, a 59-yarder, was down by Najee Johnson at the 2-yard line, forcing the Chargers to start deep in their own territory. And then Justin Reed kicking off in this game, tallying 5 kickoffs, including 1 touchback. All of them traveled at least 61 yards, and he finished the game with 3 tackles, 2 solo, and a special teams tackle. It's pretty fun to watch. It's like high school football. You just watch him kick, and he just walks right down there and starts playing safety. Mm-hmm. I don't know how big a deal it's gonna be nationally of people talking about that, and maybe it's just a fun little nugget for us locally. But did they talk about it on the broadcast, like how rare has that ever happened?
They mentioned it when the first kickoff that Justin Reed was doing the kickoff duties. Trico mentioned it and it was like, "Look at this, he's done this before," and like gave like kind of some context to it. But I don't know if they ever really went back to it, of like the rarity of it. But they definitely did mention like, "Hey, this is definitely a novelty thing."
And not even with an injury where like somebody had to kick and they didn't have another kicker. It's just he was better at kicking it further than the actual professional kicker.
Yeah. Ooh, this is a good point from Jackie Moon here. I wish Tobe would let Ariza just boom one for a touchback. Very different kicking mechanisms, by the way, for punting and kicking. There's 2 very different mechanisms. Leg swinging and everything like that. But
with the new rules, I'm not sure how any of that would work.
Yeah, I don't know if...
but
yeah. It's interesting.
Either way, pretty impressive, pretty cool little nugget. Yeah. And then wide receiver Nico Remigio made his NFL debut, returning punts in Sunday's game after signing from the practice squad, racking up 34 yards and 3 punt returns for a long of 21 yards. Only negative with Remigio, the one where he kind of hesitated and then came out a little bit late. I think he ended up like 5 yards shorter where he would have been. He's just screaming Leroy Jenkins. As soon as he started to stop, he's like, "I'm not stopping. Like, I got my opportunity. I might try to go score." I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. I watched him when he came off the sideline. Nobody said anything to him. It's like, don't slow him down. Let those guys go 100 miles an hour. All right. And then last, but certainly not least, in his second game with the Chiefs in 2024, kicker Matthew Wright went 4 for 4 on field goals and added 1 PAT for 13 points in the 1917 victory. He connected on a 31-yard game-winning field goal with 1 second left to seal the victory and claim the 9th straight Division West title for the Chiefs. He added field goals from 47, 33, and 50 yards in the victory. His 4 made field goals tie a single game career high.
Wow.
Tucker, how many kickers in the history of the NFL that have ever... Let me rephrase this. That was poor on my part. What do you think the NFL record for number of kickers that get a Super Bowl ring is? Or how many? There's like 2 questions. What's the most number of kickers that have ever gotten a Super Bowl ring in 1 year? Because the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, they have 3 kickers, place kickers that are getting a ring. Also, what is the NFL record for how many different kickers kicked a game-winning field goal for a team during a regular season?
The Chiefs have that one.
Spencer Schrader. They already got that one? Okay.
Yeah, the Chiefs have that one. The 3. I believe Opta Stats tweeted that one out. Let me go double check. I retweeted something about it. Opta Stats, whatever it is. But they did tweet that out about kickers. I do think that is wildly.
Because 3 different kickers have all kicked game-winning kicks for the Chiefs in 13 games.
Yep, the Chiefs have had 3 different kickers make a game-winning field goal. This is from Opta Stats as time expired. This is as time expired, too. But to kind of narrow it down even a little bit further.
Very much a game-winning, not there's 6 minutes left, and then
and that was
them on the final 2 possessions.
No other team in NFL history has had more than 1 kicker do so in a single regular season. So the Chiefs have had 3. No other teams had 2 kickers do it, but the Chiefs are going to have 3 kickers get a Super Bowl ring too.
Love it. Give everybody a ring. Everybody will earn it.
Yes, I did. Were you at the game? We were at a game.
Go out there and make your play. Mm-hmm. Baylor Cup is probably going to catch like a game-winning score in one of these games.
It's true. Yeah, they're
going to come out of nowhere. These guys are all going to earn their rings. We're going to all make fun of MVS, but he made like the 3 plays. Like, you know what? You deserve that. You deserve that.
MVS killing it right now in New Orleans. He's their number 1 wide receiver. Good for him.
Because they haven't given Colin Saunders enough opportunities.
Colin Saunders should come home.
I love that guy.
He tweeted out. Did you see he tweeted out after that game?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Wouldn't believe it if I hadn't been there myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. The social media, quite a thing. It will be for the rest of the week. And as Chiefs fans, we can just smile and understand that regardless of what our best intentions, and I can say this wholeheartedly for myself, trying not to be a jackass to other people, I'm fully just embracing the villain role now. I've said that before. Probably didn't quite mean it the way that I do now. I'm tired of everybody complaining about it. And it would be, again, one thing if it was fluke plays and they weren't going out there and earning it, but they're just glossing over like the Mahomes play. Like they're lucky. Like that's a lucky play. We've watched him do this for how long now?
Yeah. It's all luck. Are you excited
keep
for
doing
the
it.
No. Tonight?
The what?
The Simpsons game. They're doing a.
I saw a graph. I saw a promotion for it, but I don't really know what it means. I did laugh when I saw like the Cowboys, Bengals, and when the NFL schedule makers came out, they thought they were cooking.
Oh, they thought that was a banger.
Early December, like, hey, both teams are still going to be in it. Nope. Snooze fest for both. I believe if the Bengals lose, they're eliminated from the playoffs. Probably. They're the last team in the AFC. They have the worst record of a team that hasn't officially been eliminated from playoff contention yet. I was looking at their conference standings because that's what I want to do when I woke up this morning, just feel kind of good and be like, hey, let's look and see. Let's visualize what this looks like.
It is crazy when you look at the AFC. There's no teams like up in the air. It's the Broncos and the Colts, right? Like they play this next week, and if like basically whoever wins is into the playoffs. And then like you're either out or you're in. Like there's no delineation between. There's like 2 teams that are like on the bubble, and like that's it. And they play this week, which pretty much takes it all out of there. And they're all teams that we expected to be there.
Or they're not mathematically eliminated yet because they haven't mathematically. Let me look at it again. They have not mathematically. The only teams mathematically eliminated in the AFC are the Browns, Jags, Jets, Titans, Patriots, Raiders. So the Bengals at 4-8, apparently there's still some mathematic way in which they can make the playoffs, but losing to Cooper Rush. I mean, is Cooper Rush starting?
Yeah,
for Cowboys?
It is Cooper
Rush.
Yeah.
And I love that Cooper Rush is still playing. I'm going to leave everybody with this story about good friend right here, Mr. Therese Paylor. He's laughing somewhere as I tell this story that I got into a full-on argument with him over who was going to be a better pro, Brad Kaya of Miami at the time, and I was Cooper Rush. I was like, I don't care, because he's a right-handed Kellen Moore, and that's exactly how I described him. Like, he knows where to go with the ball, he's calm with pressure around, and he knows how to play quarterback. He knows how to move around. He's a perfect backup quarterback. I didn't think he was going to be a starter or anything. He's a perfect backup. He's exactly Kellen Moore with right hand. And he was like, he wanted juice guy that could bring something. It's just not the quarterback he's going to like. The quarterback I'm going to absolutely love.
Right.
And every time I see Cooper Rush's name, I think about our good friend. So, again, appreciate everybody for watching. You got about 9 minutes left to get your raffle tickets purchased for the Soul of KC raffle benefiting Operation Breakthrough in their Christmas store. Special thanks to Dick's Sporting Goods for hosting us this week as we go shopping later in the week and buy all the presents and load up the truck for Operation Breakthrough. So you can grab the link in the description to go buy tickets if you still want. We appreciate it. I think we're probably closing in, maybe getting closer to $16,000. Either way, we're going to get to help hundreds, if not 1,000 kids have a better Christmas in Kansas City because of your generosity. We appreciate being able to build a platform that allows us to know that we have a lot of really, really good people that feel the same way about helping the community that we do, while we also get to talk about the Chiefs and do things that we love to do. So we appreciate it. If you ever have any questions, ever have any thoughts, concerns, curious about KCSN, you can always reach out on social or shoot me an email, bj@kcsportsnetwork.com. Tucker, final thoughts before we let all these good people get back to their Mondays.
Yeah, we got maybe something special for you coming up on the audio podcast. Stay tuned. I'm gonna hop off and maybe record it right now. So you guys just have to stay tuned. I'm gonna give a little tease.
You may be talking with one of the greatest pass rushers in Chiefs history.
Yeah.
But it's not the one who was honored last night before everyone's like, oh, you got Tamba. It's awesome.
We already talked to him. We already talked to him this year. So
yeah. Awesome. Well, we appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hit that like and subscribe. Leave us a review if you like what we got going on here at KC Sports Network. There on Apple Podcasts. People do look at those things. It does help us, but we've been able to keep growing this thing because of your support and giving back to the community because got to feel like we're doing something good with what we're doing. That's not just distracting you guys from not working right now. So get back to work or whatever you're putting off by getting more Chiefs content right now. And we'll help by letting this one go. So appreciate you. We'll have plenty more content later. And the KC Lab guys will be going live later today as well. Tucker's going to be busy.
Yes, I will.
We'll see. We'll see you later.